Hello traders, how have you been? I hope the recent correction has not impacted you too much. This video is about the various ways in which we can use the concept of VWAP using the TradingView platform. Now, I personally prefer to use the anchored VWAP, which is more of a tool in this software. But then if you go to indicators and if you type VW, you will notice that there are a couple of other ways as well, wherein the new indicator that they have added is the VWAP auto anchored. The one on top of this is a volume weighted moving average, which is a moving average. It considers volume and then plots it. So this can be a nice substitute for your conventional moving averages if you want to. If you use this, your moving average will be slightly slower than maybe an exponential. Let's take a quick look at the basic one. So when we plot the volume weighted moving average, it plots the 20 period. Okay, so nothing big deal in it. So this is how it looks like. And then if you want to compare this with, let's say, an exponential moving average of the 20 period, then you will notice that the 20 period exponential moving average will more or less do the same work, but it will be a tad faster in its movements. For example, when especially the stock or the prices pick up momentum, that is, it moves fast, you will notice very clearly that it will be the EMA which will move fast and it will be closer to the price. On the other hand, the volume weighted moving average will be a little far off from the price most of the time, especially in this kind of one-way move. And rest of the times, as you can notice here, it's more or less doing the same thing. Again, you can notice here it falls sharp. So quickly, the one that quickly turns around is your EMA. This is slightly slower. It lags more than the EMA. So this is a very obvious comparison function difference between these two. Let's remove them. Let's go back to the indicators and let's take a look at the new one, the VWAP auto anchored, and then we'll compare this with the anchored VWAP, which I personally prefer. Now this is a Reliance daily chart, and as you can see here, it has automatically taken some beginning point. Now when you go to the inputs, you see anchor period is auto. How the hell is auto? Now I think so that it considers the beginning of the month. I think so, because this point, which is 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 10 12 14 16 17, doesn't match with the length that they have chosen here. So this was 31st of December and this is 3rd of Jan, which was the beginning of the month. Now if I change this to highest high of the last 14 days, so it will calculate the last 14 days and it should go to the highest point. So if I change this to high, this should be the starting point of the auto anchored VWAP. Let's see, highest high. So there you go. If I change it to the lowest, then of course it will be this one. We will not even get to see any VWAP because you can just see a small little green dot here. And highest volume of the last 14 days, if we change this, highest volumes, well, doesn't seem to be taking anywhere. Highest volume over the last, let's say, 18 days. No, strange. Ideally what it should do, okay, let's do this. What it should ideally do is, when we plot the volumes and we see that where is the highest volume, in those particular, okay, now I can see this small green dot, because over the last few span of time, so let's increase it to, let's say 30, then we should get the starting point here. Let's do this. Let's come here and let's increase this. There you go. Now you can see in the last 25 days, the highest volume was here, and so it's starting from this point. It has another good feature to itself, which is the band multiplier, which is a 1 standard deviation in this shaded zone. It gives a nice level based on standard deviation on the up and down. But then, just because it's an added feature and just because it looks good, one needs to use it wisely. The rest of the cosmetics are the same. Now, anchored VWAP or auto anchored VWAP is not a bad deal if you want to have a set of time frame in your mind at, let's say, monthly perspective, 21 days, 21 days, and figure out from the highest volume or the highest high of the last 21 days, something like that. It depends on your interest, right? On your interest. And then the good thing is it will just automatically plot it. And if I change it to ICICI Bank, and it should have it because it's an indicator, right? It is plotting it as an indicator. Now going back to Reliance, what I personally prefer is the tool, not the indicator, the anchored VWAP. Now what it does, the anchor part is I have to go and anchor it. I have to select a point, a price, a bar or a candlestick, and the calculation will be done after that, and it will keep on adding the next bar. So let's figure this out. So when we go to the anchored VWAP, and let's say I want to see in this recent correction, where is the VWAP? Rather than starting from an odd mid-rise point, I come to this highest point. Now I take a look at the fractals. I generally look at two lower highs on my left, two lower highs on the right, the typical Bill Williams fractal concept, and I select this. The moment I select this, a red line, which is the VWAP, we double click this, and we can see here, we can create 1 standard deviation if you want to. Only use this if it makes sense to you. Only if adds value to your analysis or trading, or else just because, you know, new features do not necessarily mean that you have to play around with it unnecessarily. Nevertheless, now this makes a little more sense to me than the anchored. I'm going to hide the anchored, the auto one for the time being. Now in this correction, this is the VWAP, okay? And what about the erstwhile uptrend when the market was going up? So I can go and anchor myself here, and I can see that it did manage to give some supports. And now that from this point to this point, now the issue, not exactly issue, the way these things are calculated is when we are drawing this anchored VWAP, it is considering this point to the last point. So if my objective is consider this point to this point and draw the VWAP and stick to, means end it here, then it will not be able to do that. I will not be able to initiate a starting point and an ending point in this anchored VWAP. So this curve, this change of the VWAP number is affected due to these bars. I hope you understand. So today when a new day comes, tomorrow when a new day comes, this line will keep on adjusting itself. So not exactly an issue, but this one, let me show you once more what I'm trying to explain a little more clearly. This one that I've drawn, this small one, which is reflecting this correction, is really meaningful as of now. When the market goes up, this guy will start to come down. I can expect some resistance, etc., etc. But is this one of any relevance now? Well, it did act as a very good source of support. Well, it has broken that support. And well, going forward, if this VWAP and this VWAP confluences somewhere, then we can expect some resistance. So the stale ones doesn't seem to be of that importance. Let me show you one more. Let's say, for example, I come and select this top, okay, right up there. When I did this, you can see that it did show us some good resistances. Not bad. Then it takes it out, it breaks out. Then it has just acted as just one day, and now it is broken down. So from this point all the way, this is the behavior of the anchored VWAP. Now, how far should I keep this? What should be the longevity of my tool? Should I keep it all the time? And should I expect that in the month of May, June 2022, the anchored VWAP which I had taken for late October 21, does it play any role? So if you understand what I'm trying to explain, in terms of a tool, like all tools, trend lines and various other tools, we keep on drawing and redrawing, right? And I like this anchored VWAP more like a tool, because if Reliance Industries is selling off like this, and if I try and do a little micro level analysis, I can see, okay, this was the degree of fall. I can come to the more or less the highest point here. It gives me a nice anchored VWAP. So I know from this point to the last point, this is my rolling resistance, if you call it. And then if you want, you can click on this one also, 2 different time frames, and this gives you another one. So it gives me a good perspective of the supports and resistances. When I use it as a tool, anchored VWAP down here, I get to select the highs and the lows. I get to get an understanding of the particular supports and resistances from the VWAP of that particular leg up or that particular leg down, which goes missing in an auto anchored VWAP, because it will fix itself based on highest high, highest low, or volumes or date, etc. Right? Give this concept a try. I have found decent consistency. You can use the auto anchored VWAP as a tool for a trend decider also. In that aspect, I think it's more useful than support resistance. What do I mean by this? Say, for example, I take you to the 75-minute time frame. I come to the indicator, I do VWAP, the new one, the auto anchored, right? We click on it, it will plot something. Then we come here and we say that take up, okay, auto will probably, I don't know what is auto doing here in the intraday time frames. Of course, it cannot take the starting of a month. So in intraday time frames, it's taking starting of a day. Okay, so that's what auto means, starting of a day. Now let's say you say session, and let's say you go up to 21, or rather than session, you say highest volume. Now if you do highest volume, it's even stuck here, and if we increase, this is 75 minutes, so there are 5 bars, 5 5s are 25, 25, 400. So let's say if I make it 100, if I make it 100 on the 75-minute time frame, it's counting the last 100 bars. It's got itself anchored to that particular bar where the volumes was the highest, and this is the VWAP with 1 standard deviation. Now I've taken 100 because 75-minute time frame Indian equity markets gives us 5 bars, 4 days, 5 days in a week, 5 into 5, 25 bars into 4, that's in a month. So we are looking at a monthly VWAP from the perspective of the 75-minute time frame, which can give you a trend deciding indication. So you can use this as your trend indicator, below the line, downtrend, above the line, uptrend and all that. But if you want to know that in this sell-off or in this rise, where does the resistance lie, I think you should use the tool VWAP rather than the indicator VWAP. I hope I've managed to take your time and make this difference clear from my own perception. I hope this was useful. Do let me know your thoughts, and if you use these anchored VWAPs on your TradingView platform and how you use them. In my next attempt with a video on TradingView, I'm going to combine two very important volume indicators to figure out good zones of supports and resistance. Till then, take care of yourselves and trade well, trade wise.